الحمد لله وكفى والصلاة والسلام على النبي المصطفى سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the Jews from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we'll be discussing the punishment in the grave. Adhabul qabr. A'udhu billahi min adhabil qabr. Every day we should ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protection from the punishment in the grave. My dear brothers and sisters, the punishment in the grave, it is haqq, it is a reality, it does exist. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created me and you to worship Him, to make Him happy. Now, and also when we make ibadah, when we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with ikhlas, one of the greatest rewards is when Malakul Maut comes, he takes out our soul in a very peaceful manner. Now, and our soul is taken to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, now from one angel to another until it reaches Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala becomes happy. Ya ayyatuha an-nafsul al-mutma'inna irji'i ila rabbika radiyatan mardiyya. Now, O you peaceful soul, go back towards your Allah, your Lord, radiyatan mardiyya, in the condition that He will be happy with you and you are happy with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, so now in this dunya, we need to prepare ourselves for the day we shall leave this dunya. The day the soul will leave this body. Now, and we are going to die and go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, there are so many messages going around every day regarding people that we knew. Some of them we knew. They were our friends, they were our family members, and messages come and say, Muhammad has passed away, Amina has passed away, Mahmoud has passed away, Ibrahim has passed away. But one day the messages will be circulating about me and you. Now, kullu nafsin dha'iqatul maut. Every soul will taste what? Will taste death. Now, al-mautu babun kullu wahidin dakhiluhu. Death is like a door, everyone has to go through it. Al-mautu ka'asun kullu wahidin sharibuhu. Death is like a glass, everyone has to drink from it. Now, so each and every human being will have to go through death. For us to go to akhirah, now to go to the hereafter, we will go through death. How many of our family members that we have lost? How many people that were kings, they were, ministers, they were presidents in the past? How many people who had a lot of influence in their society? How many people with a lot of wealth? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taken them away. Now, وَجَاءَتْ سَكْرَةُ الْمَوْتِ بِالْحَقِّ. Now, the sakarat, the pangs of death brought the truth. ذَلِكَ مَا كُنْتَ مِنْهُ تَحِيدٌ. And this is something that you used to try to avoid. Every human being, every person, sometimes shaitan puts into our hearts that no, we're going to live in this dunya forever. But it's not true. My dear brothers and sisters, life in this dunya is very short. We might live maybe 40, 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, even 100 years, but towards the end of the day, we're gonna leave this dunya and go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what is the dua we say when somebody has passed away? Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Indeed, we came from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and towards Allah is our return. Now, so we need to prepare ourselves for the protection of punishment in the adhab, in the qabr, the protection from being punished in the grave. So let us go to the hadith narrated by Aisha radiallahu anha. Aisha radiallahu anha, أن يهودية دخلت عليها فذكرت عذاب القبر. So Aisha radiallahu anha was visited by a Jewish lady, a lady from the Yahudi. Now, and this lady started speaking about the punishment in the grave. Now, so Aisha radiallahu anha قالت لها أعاذك الله من عذاب القبر. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect you from the punishment in the grave. فسألت عائشة رضي الله عنها عن عذاب القبر فقالت نعم عذاب القبر حق Now, so this lady asked Aisha radiallahu anha, "Oh, Aisha radiallahu anha, is the punishment in the grave haqq? Is it the truth? Does it exist?" So Aisha radiallahu anha said, "Yes, Nam, adhab al-qabri haqqun." The punishment in the grave, it is true. It does exist. Nam. قالت عائشة رضي الله عنها فما رأيت رسول الله بعد صلاة إلا تعوذ من عذاب القبر. Aisha radiallahu anha says, I always saw the Messenger of Allah, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, seeking protection in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from or against the punishment of the grave. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, after every salah or towards the end of every salah, he used to seek Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's protection against the punishment in the grave. The punishment in the grave, it is the truth, my dear brothers and sisters. Now, so if Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, who was al-ma'asum anil khata, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has protected him from, breaking any command of Allah, from sin, yet he used to seek protection against or from the punishment of the grave. What about me and you? What about me and you? We should make more istighfar. We should seek more protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala regarding or about the punishment in the grave. Why? Because in the grave, you will stay alone. You stay alone. You leave your family behind. You leave everything in this dunya. You only go with your iman and good deeds. Now, if you had iman, the strength of iman in your heart, and you died with iman, you go with your good deeds, that is what is going to help you in your grave. But contrary to that, now the grave is either a garden from the gardens of paradise, as the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, now, or it is a pit from the pits of hell. Now, imagine the person in his grave is getting punished until the day of Qiyamah, or if he was a believer, until a certain time where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, forgives a person. But how? Through those who are still alive. For example, your parents have passed away now, and you gave some sadaqah on their behalf. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can alleviate them from the punishment in the grave. You built a masjid on their behalf. You built a masjid on behalf of your father or on behalf of your mother, and you made a niyyah to say, Ya Allah, this masjid here, I'm building it, and may the reward of this masjid be on the ruh of my late father, or be on the ruh of my late mother. Now, so through that, inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can, can remove and alleviate the person from the punishment in the grave. So this is something that we should do now that we're still alive. For those who have passed away, they need our dua, they need our, they need us to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive them. So if we do that, inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will remove the punishment, inshallah, from them in the grave, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give them a peaceful life in their graves. Now, but for those who break the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَوْ تَرَى إِذِ الظَّالِمُونَ فِي غَمَرَاتِ الْمَوْتِ وَالْمَلَائِكَةُ بَاسِطُوا أَيْدِيهِمْ. You will see those who are wrongdoers, those who are sinners, those who broke the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this dunya. Now, and the angels of death, now they come and they spread their hands. They spread their hands to them. وَالْمَلَائِكَةُ بَاسِطُوا أَيْدِيهِمْ أَخْرِجُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. So the angels, as they spread their hands towards the wrongdoers, and by force they start shouting at them. They start, with very, very terrifying voice, أَخْرِجُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ أَخْرِجُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. Take yourselves out. Take yourselves out. So speaking to the souls of the wrongdoers, so now the souls of the wrongdoers, they are taken out, they come out. So the angel will take it with so much force and throw that soul, that ruh, from one angel to another. No angel will want to hold it for 1 second. Why? Because of the condition of being in ma'asiyah, in the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the dunya. When he was still alive, he was not praying his salah. He was very bad, or he was praying his salah, but he was very bad to his wife, or she was bad to her husband. Now, or they were not good to the neighbors. The person was not good to his neighbors. He was oppressing his neighbors. He was ill-treating his neighbors. He was ill-treating his workers. Now, so all this. So now at the time of death, ولو ترى إذ الظالمون في غمرات الموت والملائكة باسطوا أيديهم أخرجوا أنفسكم. You will see them at the time of death. Now the angels will spread their hands and they start shouting, أخرجوا أنفسكم أخرجوا أنفسكم. Take yourselves out. Take yourselves out. Now اليوم تجزون عذاب الهون بما كنتم تقولون على الله غير الحق وكنتم من عن آياته تستكبرون. On this day, now اليوم تجزون, you'll be given the reward, you'll be recompensed, you'll be punished with what? عذاب الهون, a very disgraceful punishment. Now بما كنتم تقولون على الله غير الحق, in exchange of that which you used to say against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, some people, the message came to them or comes to them and they deny. So the angels, this is what they're going to do to them at the time of death, shouting at them, holding on at the soul with force and pouring it out. Now, akhriju anfusakum. Now, and some also will be believers who are disobedient to the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now they'll go through the same punishment. Now akhriju anfusakum and al-yawma tujzawna adhab al-huni. So now in the grave you'll be given a very disgraceful punishment. Why? In exchange of that which you used to do in the dunya, غير الحق وكنتم عن آياته تستكبرون, and used to be haughty and proud, towards the verses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, towards the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, towards those people who used to come and advise you. Sometimes you find children who are disobedient to their parents. The parents will say, oh my son, worship Allah, pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, perform your salah. Now, oh my daughter, stay away from that cell phone, stay away from that laptop, worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you find that the children, they become very much arrogant towards their parents. Now, and when Malakul Maut comes, what will happen? Akhriju anfusakum. So shouting at the souls, take yourselves out. Take yourselves out. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us understanding and protect us from this awful death. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from the punishment in the grave. And we'll take a short break, inshallah. And when we come back, we'll speak about, how to protect ourselves, inshallah, from the punishment in the grave. See you after this, inshallah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala al-mab'uth rahmatan lil alameen, Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Welcome back to the Jews from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. My dear brothers and sisters, we are discussing the punishment in the grave. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created me and you only to worship Him. The reason why we are in this dunya, it is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can become a doctor, you can become a teacher, you can have any profession you want in this dunya, but that is only part of life, is not the purpose of life. The purpose of life is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to recognize the existence of the powerful creator and to link ourselves to Him in ibadah, to link ourselves to Him in taqwa, through taqwa, to link ourselves to Him through a'mali salihah, through good deeds, deeds that will please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, how to protect ourselves from the punishment in the grave? Now, number one, we will protect ourselves from the punishment in the grave bil a'mali salihah, by doing good, righteous deeds, deeds that pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nam allati tuqarribuhu ila Allah ta'ala, such deeds that will bring us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, will bring us the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imagine if you wake up early in the morning in winter, and you make your wudu and you perform your salatul tahajjud, you recite Quran, the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, while others are sleeping. And also you wait for Salatul Fajr. You perform Salatul Fajr with so much khushu' and khudu, so much concentration, fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and with so much love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And those are deeds that are more beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Those are deeds that will bring us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and are such deeds that will bring us the blessings and the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when we do that, we should do only لا نريد إلا وجه الله عز وجل. Now, we do not intend anything else besides the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We perform our salah, we fast in Ramadan, we give zakat, we pay zakat, and we give our sadaqah. And we do all these good deeds only for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not sum'atan, not lil madhi, not for people to praise us, not for people to hear that there is a big sheikh who speaks well, there's a big sheikh there's a big mufti, there's somebody who's very much generous, he gives anybody. Now, the intention is just for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لا نريد منكم جزاء ولا شكورا. You give, you do not need any jaza, you do not expect anything in return from the people. And also, you do not even expect any shukran from the people. Now, sometimes we force the people to thank us whenever we do any good for them, and that is not necessary. It's not good. We should not force people to thank us. Now, it is very good, yes, that we should be grateful. People should be grateful now towards those who are doing deeds of kindness to them. Now, without to make shukr. So if you make shukr, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala becomes happy with you. And also he says, لَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. If you show gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to increase you. He will give you more. He will bless you. But my dear brothers and sisters, whenever you do something, do only for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in order for you to gain the pleasure of Allah. Otherwise, on the day of Qiyamah, will be against you. So it is one of the ways to protect ourselves from the punishment of the grave, which is to do what? To do good deeds for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with ikhlas, without riyah, without showing off. And also أن يكثر الإنسان الاستعاذة من عذاب القبر. And the person should always ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protection from the punishment in the grave. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min azab al-qabr. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min azab al-qabr. Oh Allah, I seek your protection against the punishment in the grave. Now constantly, and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he used to do this. In a hadith of Abu Huraira radiallahu anhu قال كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يدعو ويقول. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he used to make dua. He used to say in his dua, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min azab al-qabr. Oh Allah, I seek refuge, I seek protection, min azab al-qabr, from the punishment in the grave. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he used to seek protection, he used to seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala against the punishment in the grave. He was the Rasul of Allah, the Habibullah, the beloved of Allah, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Al-ma'asum anil khata. He was protected from sin. He never committed any sin. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, who was kind, merciful, and honest person. He was so close and beloved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So imagine if the Messenger of Allah, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protection against the punishment in the grave. What about me and you? What about me and you? How many commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala we break every day whenever we get up in the morning? Knowingly and unknowingly, sometimes we break the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what we should do is to make istighfar, to make tawbah, to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness, and also to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refuge and protection from the punishment in the grave. So what were the words that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to say? Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min adhab al-qabr. Oh Allah, I seek refuge in you from the punishment of the grave. Wa min adhab al-nar, from the punishment of the fire of Jahannam. Now, the fire of Jahannam is 70 times hotter than the fire of this dunya. We do not want to go to Jahannam. We don't want to go through Jahannam. Now, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to enter us into Jannah, straight into Jannah. And what Jannah? Jannatul Firdaus, the highest Jannah. Now, why? Because the punishment of Jahannam is very much severe. The fire of Jahannam burns and burns severely. Now, so Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he used to seek protection and refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala against what? Adhab nar. Number 3, وَمِن فِتْنَةِ الْمَحْيَا وَالْمَمَاتِ. And he's used to seek protection against the fitna, the different kind of tests in this dunya, and also the tests at the time of death. Now, at the time of death, that time is very, very critical time. Shaitan can come and play around with you. Instead of you focusing in remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wanting to leave this dunya with the last words being La ilaha illallah, Shaitan comes, starts playing around with you, starts tricking you. Now, at that time is very, very crucial time. So it's very much necessary for us to, while we're still well, we're still alive, to make this dua. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min fitnatil mahya wal mamat. Oh Allah, I seek protection and refuge in you against the fitna, the test of life and also death. Wa min fitnati masih ad-dajjal. And also, Ya Allah, protect me from the fitna, the test of Dajjal. وجاء من حديث ابن عباس رضي الله عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يعلمهم هذا الدعاء كما يعلمهم السورة من القرآن. So Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, he says that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam used to teach the Sahaba, used to teach his companions this dua the same way he used to teach them any surah from the Holy Quran. Now, you see how a muallim, how a sheikh, how a muallima teach Surah Fatiha to the children in a madrasa, teach Surah Mulk, teach Surah, any other surah from the Quran. Similarly, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he used to teach this dua like how he used to teach them the surah from the Holy Quran. So the Sahaba radiallahu anhum had memorized this dua. So it is upon me and you to learn this dua. If you do not know this dua in Arabic, you can still make it in English. Now, and here it is for us to seek refuge and protection in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from the punishment in the grave, so we can have a peaceful life in the grave, inshaAllah, until the day we shall meet Him on the day of Qiyamah. And comes the day of Qiyamah, inshaAllah, we meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the condition that He will be happy with us. And we receive the book of our deeds with the right hand. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ بِيَمِينِهِ. As for him who will receive, who will be given his book of righteous deeds, and he receives it with his right hand, فَيَقُولُ, he will say, هَا أُمُقْرَأُ كِتَابِيَهِ. Here it is, read my report. Here is my passport. Here is my good result. I have passed, I have done well. He will want everyone to see that he have done well in the dunya, and that he has been forgiven by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given him, the ticket for him to enter into Jannah. فَيَقُولُ هَا أُمُقْرَأُ كِتَابِيَهِ إِنِّي ظَنَنْتُ أَنِّي مُلَاقٍ حِسَابِيَهِ. I was pretty sure that I am to meet my hisab, my account by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that my account was going to be easy in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَهُوَ فِي عَيْشَةٍ رَاضِيَةٍ فِي جَنَّةٍ عَالِيَةٍ قُطُوفُهَا دَانِيَةٍ كُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا هَنِيئًا بِمَا أَسْلَفْتُمْ فِي الْأَيَّامِ الْخَالِيَةِ. So he will have a beautiful life, a happy life, a blessed life. فَهُوَ فِي عَيْشَةٍ رَاضِيَةٍ. Now, فِي جَنَّةٍ عَالِيَةٍ. He will be in high Jannah. Why? Because he has made tawbah. He understood the purpose of life, and he always used to seek protection in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala against the punishment in the grave, now comes time for him to enter into Jannah, and he will enter into Jannah and enjoy from the promises of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he will stay there forever and ever. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it such that when we die with Iman, and protect us from the punishment in the grave, and enter us into Jannatul Firdaus without any reckoning. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive those people those Muslims who have passed away, our parents, our friends, our uncles, and those who are not even our family members, but they are our Muslim brothers and sisters. Allahumma ighfir lahum وارحمهم وسكنهم في الجنة اللهم اجعل قبورهم روضة من رياض الجنة اللهم تجاوز عن سيئاتهم يا أرحم الراحمين. Until we meet again, my dear brothers and sisters, I leave you with a beautiful greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.